Welcome back into Flight Control, everyone. I'm Andrew Mossbrooks, and the Knighthawks may not have had the most memorable of games on the floor, but it was certainly one for the record books off the floor, as we're joined by Craig Rybczynski, who called his 400th consecutive game in the National Lacrosse League for the Knighthawks franchisees. And Ripper, we laugh about it, but I'm sure this was a memorable and meaningful game to you.
Absolutely. My parents came from Buffalo. I had my wife and my kids there. And the team itself, like Pat O'Toole and Mike Hazen and Jody Gage and even Dan Carey, are kind of an extension of my family, because I see them so often and get to work with them and have such a great relationship with the coaches and the players. So it was memorable. I was really proud of how the guys battled back at the end of the night, and I was even more excited to see Rylan Hartley out there getting a lot of minutes. So to me, I'll just remember that game, not only my family being there, but Rylan Hartley playing and Brad Gilly scoring his first goal of the season and Ethan O'Connor scoring his third goal of the season. It's little things like that really get me excited and make me happy.
And let's have a little bit of fun with this, because the game took place on the road in Toronto, but 20 plus years, a lot of venues on the road that you've probably ventured out to. Any favorites? Is there an ultimate one, even past or present NLL city?
Trips, I think Minnesota was always one of my favorites that we'd go to. I love the arena and traveling out there. I always liked Montreal. Montreal was in the league for 1 year, but what a fantastic city that is. But I think the best place that I go to on the road, and people might get angry at me saying this, but it's Buffalo, because that's where I grew up. That's my hometown. So I always like going back to Buffalo. And I have friends and family that are Knighthawks fans and some that are Bandits fans. So it's just kind of interesting to see that dynamic play out. And I get to see so many friends and family. My favorite road trip is just driving down the 90 to Buffalo.
Bandit land, one-of-a-kind environment. And Ripper, you came here to Rochester in 1999. Been here ever since. What is it about lacrosse, the Knighthawks, and this city that has made it so special for you?
The city itself, it's so easy to fall in love with Rochester. The people are so friendly and welcoming, and it's a great place to raise a family. Rochester, New York. I met my wife here. Obviously, I have 2 kids now, and I don't think I would have rather lived anywhere else in the world but Rochester, New York. And as it leads into the Knighthawks, my first game that I ever saw here, John Grant Jr. was his first preseason game, and Casey Powell was playing for Rochester, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. These are 2 of the greatest athletes in the entire world, and they play on the team that I work for. This is insane. And
Games 401 and 402 of your broadcasting career are coming up pretty quick. And look, the odds are not necessarily the most favorable for the Knighthawks, but their playoff aspirations are still mathematically alive. Games coming up against Georgia and Philly. What do you think this team's focus needs to be?
I know it's cliche, but Mike Hazen would say the same thing if he was sitting in my chair, is you got to play a full 60 minutes. Usually we have good starts, and then the second half, we needed to pick it up. It was the reverse last game against Toronto. I think if they can put it all together, there's definitely an opportunity to get into the postseason. I mean, you've got Connor Fields and Ryan Smith offensively that are 2 of the best in the league. Defensively, there's not probably a better captain in the league than Dan Coates. And then in goal, between Hutchcraft and Hartley, it's a great 1-2 punch. And I think if they can get hot, and all we need is one good weekend and a little bit of help, and we'll be in the postseason.
And that's exactly what's left in the season. 1 weekend, 2 games over 3 days, starting Friday in Georgia against the Swarm, and the Knighthawks will wrap things up on their home floor Sunday afternoon with the regular season finale. We hope it's not the finale. That's coming up with a matinee against Philadelphia.